teams do. They just start to drift apart if the goal's not clear, and I don't really care, like, what that person's doing over there. It gets messy, and it's unfortunate when that happens. So just something to really remember.
Hi, everybody. It's Bridget and Jessica here for Career North Star. Today, Jessica and I are going to record a reaction video to this presentation on leadership and people, process, and technology that Al provided to a real-life organization. So we're going to dive in and pause with some commentary throughout this presentation. We're excited. Let's go.
Awesome.
So what the goal would be ultimately for you and your team would be a high performance team that has the ability to essentially run on its own, so to speak, with the understanding of what their goals are, have the right people with the right processes, leveraging the right technology in order to achieve whatever the goal might be. So, and have leadership not get killed in the process, right? Trying to make it happen. So often, the first piece of that is the goal itself. The goal itself is amorphous, is fuzzy, is more qualitative than quantitative. Not to say that that's every single time and every single day, and you have quarterly, monthly goals and things like that. But that overall, the mission, the outcome that we're trying to achieve, so often is fuzzy. It's not data driven. It's not quantitative. So consequently, as straight and narrow as you may want the team to go, oftentimes they'll start to spread, right? In a vacuum, people will make stuff up. Or they'll start to do their own thing or what they think works for them best, especially more senior guys who have, well, I've done this before. I've been doing this for 20 years. I have tacit knowledge. I've been successful before. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and let everybody else kind of work. Right. So what happens is oftentimes teams, organizations start with, they go from people, process, like business process, etc. Technology.
Technology being our solutions.
Tools.
Okay, like a Salesforce.
That's exactly right. Your pitch case, right? Like collaterals. Salesforce, right? Or your CRM, right? Right, things like that you would use in order to execute on this, in order to get to the goal. So what happens along the way so often with organizations is they make the assumption, well, these are the people we have, these are the business processes that we follow in order to execute. In other words, here's how we do things, right? Our processes and procedures. Here's how we go about doing it. Using the tools we have gets us to some goal. So, but the issue with that is oftentimes we might not exactly have the right people. We just happen to have the people that know how to execute this process today. Well, the process isn't necessarily right. How you go about doing it. And perhaps the technology is not right, or maybe it is right. Oftentimes the technology gets blamed for this and for this.
I just wanted to add, it's such a good point that you have to first have the goal established, because a team can't go in the same direction without clearly defined goals. The team goals should align to the organizational goals, and I think that's the leader's job to ensure that there is alignment there. But then also it's okay to have individual goals and to communicate that to your leader, so that way in whatever projects you're working on, for example, like you can find ways to really grow and exercise certain skills that align to your goals. So I just wanted to put that out there as we talk about goals, especially like for an early career professionals. That's something that you're thinking about. And then also Al talked about process and kind of just you have the people in place and they're just sort of following the processes that have been set up because it's just the way that it is. And I think that one of the benefits of an early career professional is that when the process doesn't make sense to you, you can step up and you can ask why. Like, and it's really just an innocent, genuine question, like, why do we do it this way? Or if you do get the process, but maybe you think there's a better way of doing things, you can ask, why do we do it this way again? But uncover more around the why. But one of the benefits of being early in your career is that you can absolutely ask those questions because you're not expected to know the answer. So like have fun with it and just ask those kinds of questions.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jess. And I think another question that you can ask is exactly what Al was talking about, is how do the people relate to the process, and how does the process and the people relate to the technology? Basically, how are these three things interconnected? Because that will help you avoid exactly what's on the screen there, where just technology gets blamed for the people and the process issues. If you have the right technology, but you don't have the right people involved or the right processes in place, it's not going to work and you're not going to meet your goals. So just as Jessica was encouraging you to ask those kind of why questions, ask for all of those things you see on the screen, people, process, and technology, and your perspective will really benefit the rest of the team to reach their goals.
On the goal side, many times the goal is not quantitative, it's a lot of qualitative. And when people have qualitative goals, they start to go like this. They go wide. Two sets of goals, individual and team.
Mm-hmm.
Qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative, right, is their personal growth. I don't care if you're going to buy a car or a house or anything like that. What I care about is how are you going to improve over the course of the year, and how does it align to the team or the org goal? See, I don't really care if my goal is to buy a house, buy a car, da da da. I got it. That's actually a quantitative goal. The quantitative goal is you need to make X amount of sales for this sale price multiplied by whatever your rate is, right? If that's how much money you want to make, great. I'm not too interested in that. To me, I would say, well, then you're selling yourself short. Whatever number you give me, that's like qualitative, as you would put it, a qualitative book, whatever number you give me, I'm going to say it's not enough. Why are you putting a limit on yourself at all?
Mm-hmm.
Rather, I would say qualitative. How are you going to improve yourself over the course of the year? How are you going to improve, in this case, how are you going to improve your efficiency in selling? How are you going to reduce cost per transaction when you go traveling? How are you going to be lower the window of time to close rate, right? From first contact to close.
Sure.
See, even if they're qualitative in nature, or perhaps is your aspiration to be a leader? Maybe you want to be a lieutenant, and how do I want to get to that? Or something like that. That's a qualitative component.
Mm-hmm.
The quantitative component is your close rate multiplied by whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, by month, by quarter, margin, whatever metrics
Yep.
that you would track by.
I just want to add in here really quickly. I think part of being a good leader is being really tuned in to the individual's goals. And when you ask questions like that, like in what ways do you want to grow this year? Obviously, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, does that align to like the team and the organizational goals? But you should be really invested just in the individual's professional growth. And I don't think that happens by sort of checking in like on a monthly, every couple weeks or on a monthly basis. That really happens through regular check-ins, consistent, open communications. That's how trust gets built. When I, as the team member, really feel that my leader is invested in my personal growth. So just wanted to throw in that little leadership bit right there.
Yeah, and that will help each of the things on the board there. Like if you understand the individual goals, then the individual will contribute to the team goals, and it will contribute to the organization goals. So yeah, it starts on an individual level, but then in turn it'll help you reach all of your other goals that you're trying to achieve.
But regardless, when we're skipping ahead a little bit, but regardless, there's a good question. Regardless, these goals have to align to this organizational goal. Because if they don't, I could care less if you want to buy a house, blah, blah, blah. How much money are you going to bring in of clean, ethical business over the course of 4 quarters so that we can achieve 50% margin, $100 million gross on whatever, against whatever cost, right? That's what we're trying to get at. So we'll hit on that in a moment in more detail. Does that make sense?
It does. No, it does.
Okay. So now, all too often, this is the approach that organizations and teams take. Well, these are our people. These are our processes. Well, why do you have these people? Well, because they're the people we have. Why do you do these processes? Well, because it's the way we've always done it. I've been here for 20 years, and this is the way we always do it. Well, is there a better way to do it? I don't know. I know this way, 20-year sort of mentality. It's just because it's because the way that they've always done it, one, but two, if we changed it, they would be out of a job. The third piece then is where so often people outsize technology and tools for a reason why we can't do something. It's actually wrong. It's backwards. The technology comes after to enable these two, assuming you have the right and the correct. The last part of that is that goal. All too often, organizations have that sort of fuzziness on the goal. Exactly what you just said. They let the qualitative lead the quantitative. Well, if you're not data-driven in that approach, you could say, hey, man, it was great. I bought a car. I bought a house. I got married. Yeah, but we're all getting fired because we missed by 60% 3 quarters in a row. But I'm glad you did well. You see what I'm saying?
I do, yeah, I think so.
So what happens so often when organizations do this? A few different things. One, they miss their goals. 2, conflict arises as a result, because since we don't have organizational goals, quantitatively data-driven that we're following, people start to fend for themselves. Well, I did my part, right? Yeah. I did my part. The reason why we didn't succeed is because of this. We have bad technology. Everything, how we do our business is broken. So how can I succeed? Well, clearly, I'm not sure we have the right people. So one of the things that you said to me was, let's spice things up, right, and kind of change the dynamic of things. Right or wrong on the people front. Here's how we can do that. Here's how we can do that. The first thing, instead of kind of going people, process, technology, goal, the first thing that we do is we start with the goal. Smart goal. Right? That never goes outside. That's specific, measurable, right? And this is the big part of it right here. Achievable in a sales organization or in an operational sense, right? You want it to be able to, stretch. And then obviously, you're time bound, right? In some way, shape, or form. But you have to start with the goal, and the goal is quantitative in nature. So for the team, it has to be our metrics. So metrics and KPI type thing. That's number one. We'll come back to each one of these. So you start with the goal and establish these are the 5 things we need to do this year, and that means success. Number one. Given
Jess,
that
I
goal,
want to pause for the goal. So I agree. It's really important to have goals that are data driven, because when you're trying to when you're trying to make sure that you're measuring up, doing those check-ins with yourself, your team, your organization, it's so much easier to have those conversations and say, hey, we're on track to hit 20% increase in sales by the end of the year because we have XYZ coming up and whatever it is. It's way easier to have that conversation and measure yourself against a number or an agreed upon metric than it is to say, I just want to improve my sales by the end of the year, because that can mean so many different things to different people. And when you are working beyond your individual goals, you need to make sure that they're communicated correctly to your team. And a really great way to do that is to make sure that you're putting numbers in there and making sure that they're quantitative.
Now let's look at the process. Because we're never going to achieve our goal, our metrics, our data-driven approach, unless we have the right processes. In an internal organization, like an IT organization, those are business processes, right? In a pricing, teaming, analytics, our business process to figure out how much data do we have, what are we trying to achieve, increase revenue, reduce cost per transaction, or get closer to the customer? Do we have the data that we need? Is the data, is it voluminous? Is it relevant to us, etc., right? How do we get it? How do we leverage it? In a sales organization, it's how do we go about from first contact to close, and everything that happens in between, and everything that's good and that's bad in it, like bottlenecks along the way, or what we might call toil, or what we might call delays or constrictions in our processes that prevent us from achieving that metric in our goal. Okay, so that's processes. Then we say, once we've addressed those processes, and I'll explain how we do that in a moment. Once we address those processes, then we say, now let's align whatever technology and tools to those processes which allow us to achieve that goal, which, by the way, I can measure because we established that in the beginning. I say we, because then the last part, not the first part, but the last part is the people. I have a metric and a goal. I have to add, change, delete my processes. I leverage technology and tools to drive that process so we can get that metric. Do I have the right people on the team in order to do those three things? How you measure that is in two different ways. Now, you might say, I have a great team. I have a great team. And we could say that. We have a high-performing team, maybe. And that could be super awesome. But if we don't, or you're suspect on that, or you're not convinced, or maybe you can unlock somebody who maybe has been constricted previously, now what you can do is now let's start from here backwards. We take those people and we establish individual goals and team goals. You have 5 or 3 individual goals, and you have, say, 5 team goals. 2 of those team goals have to overlap for those individuals. So that would be like goal 4 and goal 5 for the individual. Now, in that case, we are tied together as a team. We have our metric goal back there, like we need to do 50%, we need to do $1 billion per quarter, blah, 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 and do it at 50% margin, whatever. Got it, team goal. A couple of those team goals have to be part of the individual goals, because now everybody, even the individuals, remember we talked about, I don't care if you're buying a car or a house, now everybody's tied together. If we are all not rowing together in the same direction, we have failed on these 2 goals, which will impact you qualitatively and quantitatively as well. So that tie-off of those 2 goes back to the question that I asked you earlier about how the team collaborates together. See, here's the thing. Let's skip ahead a little bit. So in order for you to create a high-performance team that ties individual goals and team goals that everybody has to align to in order to hit whatever that metric, whatever those goals are, to be data-driven, you have to do the following. The first thing is communication and transparency.
Before Al continues, I just want to say I love this framework because it's applicable across, like Al was talking about IT or sales, it's applicable across all industries, across all companies. And if there's something not going right, whether you're the leader or not, like you can step up, actually take a step back and really analyze and reflect on like, what is the goal at hand? And then look into the processes, the technology, the people in place, and try to uncover like where the root of the issue really lies. And then I just want to say too, around the whole people side of it, it's so important for the people on a team to be invested in each other's successes. And I've seen it, and it makes such an impact to the team dynamic and the culture. It's really special when you have a team that all just want to make sure each other are successful. And there's so much fulfillment that comes from that and satisfaction. It's not this like competitive or ultra aggressive environment. It's really like we're all in this together. And there's so much to be said for that kind of a mindset. But I think it starts at the top, and the leader really sets that tone. Otherwise, like Al said, they just start to drift apart if the goal's not clear, and I don't really care like, what that person's doing over there. It gets messy, and it's unfortunate when that happens. So just something to really remember.
Yeah, I think it can also sometimes get competitive between team members if you have similar goals. And so I think that mindset that you're talking about, Jess, is really important. Like, I know for our team, even when they're individual goals, we let our entire team know what we're doing, because we know that they'll, number one, hold us accountable to make sure that they can help us achieve our goals. But then number two, they'll celebrate with us, which is great too. So it's an important thing to do as a team member, to celebrate and support your other teammates, but then also as an individual to communicate your goals, whether they're team goals or your individual goals, to make sure that you have a team behind you and you can use their support.
Here's what I mean by that. From a communication standpoint, you got to tell the team up front what that goal is and what we're metriced on. That's number one. Individually, you can have whatever those goals are, but we are tied together on these, and we're going to communicate that. And I'm going to be super open with you about that. How good, how bad, how ugly we are at achieving it, because we're going to depend on the data for that, right? So with the second part of that, with that communication, then is the frequency and the format of it. The frequency of it. Now, here's where we start to talk about the leadership challenges. Understood. The frequency of it, you've got to pound it home, both in one-on-one calls, one-on-one meetings, which you got to be consistent with. There's no doubt about it. They can't be quarterly. They can't be monthly. At the most, they've got to be bi-weekly at the most, right? Even if you did 15-minute check-ins or something like that, whatever that is, of who, what, when, where, why, how questions, all relating back to the goal, right? Number one, frequency. Number two, format. You can do that as a regular agenda item in your team calls. Here's what place we are in the division team. Say that's it, right? Here's where we are, 1 and 2. Frequency, often, given clear transparency, good, bad, and ugly. Format, I'm going to express this, and you're going to get a chance to express this in our team forums that we do, once a week or every bi-weekly, whatever that is, right? So frequent one-on-one, frequent with the team, format that's very transparent for everybody. Number one.
That's so important as a leader, to set the standard for communication between a leader and an individual, but also between the entire team. Because as soon as you are setting the standard for frequent check-ins, your team, exactly what Al was saying, will follow suit and will be more likely to call each other when they're working through a problem. They'll collaborate more often, and then you'll all achieve your goals together. So I think that is something. The leader sets the tone, but then the team will see how important it is to lean on each other, use each other's expertise to achieve the goals.
And also, if as the leader you've set the standard for frequent communications, they're more likely to feel comfortable going to you with challenges or roadblocks. Like if the team can't figure it out, right? If communication is so infrequent, it can feel uncomfortable actually going to your leader. Like you maybe don't really have that close of a relationship to them. You're not really talking very much. So you start to drift away actually from the leader and feel a bit distant from them, so much so that you feel uncomfortable or maybe hesitate to go to them with challenges. And as the leader, your role is to step in and get rid of any obstacles or roadblocks. So it's just important, just to reiterate everything you both have said, to set that standard and to communicate so frequently, as often as you can, in my opinion.
Number 2. Respect and trust. Here's the thing, team. I'm going to be completely open and honest with you, the good and the bad, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. And if we're all rowing in the same direction on those goals that we've established, right? We can talk about that more in a little bit. But those goals that we've established, from that, we are going to respect each other in achieving it. In other words, you talked about like those top 3, those top 3 or top 4 or whatever. We're all in this together. There's no such thing. We're all for individual goals. Like I got it. However, if we finish in last place, right? If we have a player who's the MVP of the league and we finish in last place, have they succeeded?
No.
Not at all. So we have got to build a mutual trust that we are in this together. And how you do that is with that communication and transparency.
That is just like too good to. It's so important. Al said no such thing as top 3 or MVP. Treating everyone equally, like especially for me, I know in my experience as an early career professional, it gave me so much confidence that I was viewed the same as a senior team member. Like we're all equal. We all have the same goals. We're all vested in each other's success. And it gave me so much confidence in myself. So I just think that's such a key point right there. There's no such thing as someone's better than the other,
Yeah, 100% agree. That is so important, and key to building your confidence as an early career professional. So if any leaders are listening to this, just remember that it means a lot to make sure that you're treating all of your team members as equals, because everybody's going to come in with different experience levels, different expertise. And just knowing that you're all on this team together and working to contribute to the same goals, it's really important. So the leader needs to remember that and treat the entire team with the same level of respect and trust.
Each other, and we build mutual respect. So it kind of comes from like top down. Next is it comes from bottom up. Watch this. Conflict. Conflict, healthy conflict, is a good thing. Unhealthy conflict is, I'm in it for myself, right? I just want to be the most valuable player. I really don't care if we win or we don't win. Healthy conflict is, you need to run harder. You need to try harder. I'm going to be there with you. This is a leadership issue. This goes from here, from bottom up. How you create an atmosphere of respect and trust for the team is allowing healthy conflict. Because what are we trying to achieve? This goal. I can help you individually. I can help us achieve that goal. Well, when you have 12, in this case, different personalities and leaders and big personalities at that on a team, there's bound to be healthy conflict while you're communicating very transparently and openly about how the team's going to succeed. when you allow healthy conflict, hey, we're going to trust each other. When that door is closed, we're going to trust each other. We're going to respect each other. We might not always agree with each other. That's the leader's job, to maintain healthy conflict. Why? Because conflict bears out solutions to help us achieve the goal. How does that help the leader? It actually shifts the weight off of the leader, because now the team is starting to say, I have a good way to do this. Well, my way is good too. Well, let's now talk about that more, right? Here's how you do that. We come up again. Empower.
Before Al talks about
And
the empowerment
delegate.
piece for number 4, I want to stress how important and healthy conflict is in building respect, trust, and transparency. I think a lot of times people think of conflict as a negative thing where two people are fighting, but it really is, as Al said, it's about disagreeing or conflicting ideas that will lead to a solution. So that key word healthy is important. But if you ask somebody on your team their opinion about something and they give you your opinion and it conflicts with your own, you, number one, know that they're being honest and transparent with you. But number two, you know that they're trying to help you drive to a solution because you're on the same team, you have common respect, you're working towards the same goals. So I think conflict is such a key component of a well-structured team, along with all of the other items that Al has listed and is going to list. I just wanted to call it out that you shouldn't be scared of it, especially as an early career professional, and you shouldn't feel like you're doing anything wrong if you ask someone for their opinion on something that you're working on, or you're having a disagreement about something. You should look at it as an opportunity to drive towards a solution that's better for everyone, and then also an opportunity to build your trust, transparency, and respect with your team.
Now, this one goes both ways, top and bottom. If you are communicating the goal, the data-driven metric and KPIs, and we know we will be successful if you align individual goals and the team goals to that, you communicate that often and in a way that everyone can consume it. We know where we are in the standings, so to speak. We say when we are going to communicate with each other, we will do so with respect and trust in each other, because we're all in this together. There are no MVPs. It's allowed some level of healthy conflict as long as we're going towards the goal. So what do? As the leader, instead of you managing all of this, you empower and delegate members of the team to run some of this.
And a way you
times,
can do this to empower your team is align the things that you're delegating to their individual goals that you know as their leader that they've communicated to you. So a real life example is I've come to Al before and said, hi, I want to be a people leader. I want to expand my people leadership skills and eventually have my own team. And then Al, as the leader in this situation, he would come back and say, hey, I have an opportunity for you to lead interns or new hires or something like that. Jess, I know you and I have both had that experience. And that is a great thing for a leader to do, because the leader is identifying ways for the individual to grow in their own individual goals. They're empowering them to do so by giving them responsibility for the entire team. And then they're also delegating in the process and maybe taking a little bit of the direct responsibility off of themselves, but obviously empowering and advising the team member to be successful for the entire team.
And we've talked about before the 5 attributes of a great professional, and the first one's being a great soloist, owning a piece of work, owning, a deliverable, and doing whatever it takes to deliver in terms of time, cost, and quality. So when work is delegated to you, I think as an early career professional, especially you're always building your brand, really say yes to as much as possible and take on that responsibility and own that piece of work that you're given. And obviously you can use your resources, use your team. They're invested in your success, and ask for help. Know when to ask for help, but I just wanted to call that out too. Like, it's really important you'll grow your skills, but also confidence through owning a piece of work.
A lot of times, and you mentioned this, a lot of times, this can be two different things. One, you can lay on the senior guys, especially not that you have them or you don't have them. Again, you're the ultimate judge of your people. Those senior guys, you can unlock those guys. Here's a great way to unlock them: by pairing them with the junior guys or team members. And I don't mean sharing accounts and all that. I mean sharing of knowledge in order to achieve our goals that we have established. If this person can run fast and easy and efficiently, and this person is struggling to do so, great, help them out. Right?
Mhm.
One, two, goes the other way also. Watch. Junior, senior. If that junior person comes to you and says, my individual goals, I want to be you. I want to take your job someday. Succession, right? I'm 5 years. I want to have my own region, my own territory. I want to have my $1 billion book of business. How am I going to get there? How am I going to get there individually while helping the team? I have a great idea. Based upon what we've agreed to do in order to achieve our goals, I am going to empower you, junior person now, like they're on top for a reason. I'm going to empower you, junior person, to run some initiative or play. And senior team, your job is to support them in it. You're the subordinate.
This is so good. I love this. The sharing of knowledge goes both ways, because I think as someone starting out in their career, I've experienced it. I've heard other early career professionals experience it. A lot of the times we struggle with imposter syndrome, or like just self-doubt, because it's such a new experience and there's so much you're consuming, and it's just easy to like doubt yourself. But this right here, it's like coming in new to a team, you have such unique perspective and a fresh set of eyes. And, pairing like a junior person with a senior person together is just gold, because they both bring so much value. And we talked about, the team being invested in, or like individuals and teams being invested in each other. And this is like exactly an example of that, specifically pairing a junior and a senior guy together with unique experiences, perspectives. I think it's just so valuable and a really smart thing to do.
Yeah, and I think it's that mindset that if you are paired up with somebody, if you're on the same team, understanding that if you're that person who's supposed to share knowledge with this newer person or less experienced person on your team, if that person fails for some reason, it's not their fault. It's because the more senior person didn't give enough or provide enough knowledge to the junior person. Because if the junior person doesn't know how to do something, that's not their fault. But if the senior person doesn't share that knowledge or empower them or encourage them to seek out how to get there on the team, then that's not on the junior person, that's on the senior person. And that's how you're going to create a successful team, is if you're all invested in the success of the individuals on your team.
Junior, you get a chance to lead with all the energy, right, that junior person has to try to achieve their goal, and just all the nature of like, I'm ready to go, coupled with a senior person who's going to say, I get it. All gas, no brake. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's steer a little more, right? I fell into this myself 20 years ago. Let's avoid it. Now this person builds experience, expertise. So now the leader strengthens the team from the bottom up, while the senior member of the team gets the juice from a junior member who's all fired up and ready to go. Consequently, team goal gets hit, individual goal gets hit. What you can empower them to do is have them work on a process together. What has worked for us in this case? What has worked? So, whatever, sales pitch, say. Call strategy. Closing strategy. Competition, right? Kill, pound. Wow, if you take those four, just making them up, if you were to divide them up and say, early career person number 1, you partner with senior member 1 and 2. Early career person number 2, you partner with senior 3 and 4, and so on down the line, you now re-architect your process. The leader's not doing it. The leader's managing it. The team is doing it. So now, the leader has empowered, has delegated, and now we all share in that goal that we established. We all now own it. There's one more, pause. Good so far?
Yeah.
Here's the last one. We'll come up here. Now, instead of the leader owning all of this, and probably poorly, or not to the way that they want to, because it's 25 hours a day, 9 days a week. Not going to happen. At least happen well. Number 5 is the only thing then the leader needs to do, given this model, is remove blockers. When I say remove blockers, get everything out of the way to allow the team to build respect and trust, healthy conflict towards the goal, and empower and delegate and share in that goal. The last, so remove blockers, this generally, in a sales organization, it's remove blockers, and guess what now? Close deals. Now, your focus is on closing and running on the right deal instead of running on every deal, hoping and praying, right? Hope is not a strategy. Wow. Who would not follow that leader? If all you're doing is removing blockers to help me and us achieve our goals and helping me close deals. Oh my gosh. And reaching the goals that we want and need.
Right. So I think that's another big piece where that makes sense.
Before Al answers this question, I'm assuming it's a question. I want to talk about, so Al's going through the processes there, and he just kind of listed off like 4 separate things that this sales organization could do to improve their processes. If you as a leader don't know off the top of your head 4 things or 4 categories for processes that you could improve, this is an amazing way to engage your team and build that respect, trust, and encourage healthy conflict in a team meeting and say, hey, team, I'm thinking of doing some process improvement. Let's just discuss things that could be improved, and just have your team discuss and speak with one another, bounce ideas off of each other. And then you can identify really quickly ways to improve your process in a collaborative team environment that's fostering that trust. So if those ideas for process improvement aren't coming to you as quickly, use your team, because you're going to leverage the team anyways eventually to improve those processes. So you might as well get some information from them about the processes that are slowing them down or they're not happy with. And just a good way to start out that framework that Al's talking about.
Yeah. What I love about this framework is number one, it's all connected. Like it all connects with each other and feeds into each other. Because the first step is frequent communication, transparency. By talking to your leader frequently, and naturally you build a connection and a relationship with them. They know what's going on in your world, what your individual goals are, for example, the good, the bad, the ugly. And that builds a level of trust and respect for that leader, so much so that you can have healthy conflict. Like you're not going to be taking things super personally. Your leader is going to tell you things how they are and empower you to, to get the work done well, and then remove roadblocks. And through the empowering and removing roadblocks, that just reinforces and strengthens the respect and trust already built. So there's a really powerful relationship and dynamic there. So I think it's just amazing the way that it's all connected. And if you continue to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like it just strengthens and builds every single time.
In theory, but I guess from my stance, it's like, is it removing blockers in just the deals, or removing blockers in like their day-to-day operation of their process?
Right. I separated them, the two of them. Remove blockers means you have a sales organization. Remove blockers means allow them to go sell. Right. One of your metrics, presumably, is I'm making it up, you're spending 80% of your time in front of a customer in some way, shape, or form. You're either getting a first meeting, getting a subsequent meeting, making a proposal, solutioning a proposal, closing a proposal, shaking hands with a deal, right? That's it. Following up for add-on. Makes total sense. That makes total sense. So I would say an account level kind of leadership that needs to make the deal successful. It makes complete sense. Those are the blockers you need to remove. You mentioned what? You have to remove that blocker for the team. Why? Because the goal is I want you in front of a customer selling or upselling or doing a change order or making a proposal or something like that 80% of the time, whatever that is. And the other 20% is your administration and PTO and things like that, whatever that is. That is your job. See, because here's the other thing. If you spend 75% of your time getting those blockers out of the way to allow your team to do their job, to meet their goals, that's your goal. If the rest of the 25% of your time is spent on the top, 5%, whatever your goal is, 5% of those deals, that's a pretty good job to have. And if you've empowered the team properly, say lead on new business processes, you know exactly when to enter into the arena, as opposed to, well, this sounds a little fuzzy, I better go just in case. As opposed to, hey, in the sales funnel that we have here, is it time for me to go have a conversation with a customer? Yes, no. It's not? Okay, give it another 2 weeks. I'm going to metric you on it, right? I'm going to follow up with you in our next one-on-one, and then we'll measure whether it's time for me to go. In the meantime, I'm going to go get that PM removed who's not doing a good job. I'm going to go get them removed with the operations team. I'll go get them removed. You don't need to worry about it now, sales team. You go work on the goal. See, and that goes back to this whole process thing. Because here's the other thing. You maybe tactically need to go kind of like chop wood and go make that happen. The team will tell you, if you empower them, the team will tell you the right way for you to go about doing that to help make them successful. That way you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
You just have to say, yeah, I agree with this, I disagree with this, or I agree with this change, this change, this change. As opposed to, I better think of something, right? If you can do this, switching this around to a data-driven approach, empowering the team to improve the processes they need in order to be successful, then align a set of tools, and you can empower the team to go do that then too. Maybe it is just a dumb spreadsheet that we need to use. I mean, I don't know, whatever. And we're all sharing in the same goals. Yes, individual, but your individual goal is tied to our team, our org goal. And the team all shares in the goals. We either win together or we don't. When that's all said and done, the leader the leader, believe it or not, when you remove blockers and you're helping them, in this case, close deals or grow your team, right? Their expertise, the leader's job not only gets easier, it gets more successful. And the third thing then is the leader can spend more time being strategic, establishing and achieving the goals instead of washing the dishes and the glasses, etc., and hoping to get through, Wednesday. That.
I guess that's where I'm still right now. I'm stuck on that. Like, how do we get better processes? 'Cause I can give you my opinion on what I think.
Yes. So here's how you would do that. Don't even think about what it is. I mean, you can render an opinion, that's for sure. Assign somebody to it. Literally assign someone. And I would recommend even two things if you wanted to. One is assign someone to it, is given the goals that we've established now for this coming year, right, which is coming fast and furious for us, given those goals that we've established, what's the thing that prevents you from achieving those goals? What are the blockers that we experience? The team will tell you. They know. They know better than you
That's
do.
exactly what we were saying,
Now, you'll
Jess,
have to
right? Where it's like, if
Mhm.
you as a leader are ever questioning something, ask your team. They're the ones who are doing the work, who know the process inside and out, who know the goals because you as a leader have communicated them to them. So ask your team. Like there's no point in guessing like, hey, maybe this might be an issue for my team, or maybe this is a blocker. Just ask, and then that will build so much trust within your team. And then also it'll make whatever blocker you're trying to remove or process you're trying to improve that much more efficient for your team, because you know they're already invested in it and something that they're thinking about.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Way through that a little bit. But what you do is then you assign, empower, delegate somebody on the team to own that. You have your team will give you 40 different things of what we can improve upon process-wise that will allow us to achieve our data-driven goal. Then you empower someone to say, you know what, suss that out into the top 10 things that we need to do. What's the highest priority and what's the easiest or hardest to do? So it would be, what it would look like would be this. You establish the goals, right? We talked about that, establish the goals, individual and team. Then you say, well, what's the thing from a process standpoint, a business process, the way that we go about our business to achieve the goal? What's the things that block us? What the team will do, I'll erase this, is they'll let you know. Now, when they're letting you know, what you do is you empower someone to own it, and you say, here's the deliverable I want you to give to me. Is what's the business value? And what's the feasibility to actually do it? See, because if it has, look, and that's the team. The team comes up with that. So what you would do, we'll step through it. Step one, we establish the goal. Step two, what are our processes that we need either added, changed, or deleted in order for us to achieve the goal? 3, you share with the team our communication and transparency. 4, you empower someone on the team to own it. And then you trust that the team will work together, maybe some healthy conflict in that, right? But that's okay. And then 5 is the deliverable. And 6 is the plan to execute. 7 is execute. 8, measure. So now all you did was you empowered the team to go do that. Now what you would tell the team to do is the deliverable that I want you to give me based on whatever timeline. Like you might say, hey, I need this in 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 days. Whatever the answer is, that's yours. But then what you would say to them is you would say business value. So you would say whatever the process is, right? Is this one business value And then over here is feasibility. And you say, here's the, X, Y, Z. The team got together and we agreed one of, not the top, one of the processes that we need to change is our sales pitch, is our proposal writing. I'm spending 20 hours a week writing a proposal, which means I'm not spending 20 hours or 19 hours in a client meeting, right? Just say it, right? So we have to improve proposal writing. Got it. What's the business value of that? So what you do is you assign the business value. We don't need to do any kind of sophisticated weighting or anything like that. We just say business value, 1 to 5. Team, we agree on this. Is it really important from a business value to help us achieve our goal? Yeah, it is. 5, super important. 1, not so important. Feasibility of it, same thing, 1 to 5. Business value of shooting a rocket to Jupiter. Super awesome, 5. It'll be great. Feasibility, 0. Right? Total, 5. That's it. And you run
That goes
down
back
those
to,
top 5 things that you empower.
what Al was saying at the beginning about how important it, like the difference between qualitative and quantitative metrics. This is an example of a qualitative idea and assigning quantitative metrics to it to understand the feasibility and the capability of the team. So understanding when to use quantitative versus qualitative to your advantage is really important. So I just wanted to call it out. This is another great example of numbering things helps you out in the end to prioritize, understand how you're measuring things. So yeah, I just wanted to call that out, draw it back to the beginning.
That's a really good call out. It's like taking an idea and a concept and sort of reeling it in and tying it back into what value does this add to the business? How is this aligned to our goals? It's always the leader's job is to take it back to that. But absolutely lean on the team to, they can brainstorm and come up with the different process improvements for sure. They're closest to the work, Bridget, as you had mentioned earlier.
The team to come up with. Then, so there's ABC is this one, and this is 1 to 5 and 1 to 5, and whatever the total score is. Then you bring that back to the team and say, of the 5 things that we came up with, here's the priority. Then you as the leader, hey, here's what I think we can actually get accomplished, given whatever the time constraint, right? The smart, given the time constraint that you put upon it. But in doing so, you've created a communication framework that the team respects and trusts each other now. Some conflict rose out of it because, hey, I think this is more important than this one, right? You empowered and delegated the team, so you're not up till 3 o'clock in the morning doing this. They actually own it, be it a senior junior or junior senior or some combination of both, right? So they're sharing now in the goal. And then your job, you get to be the leader. Remove the blockers to allow us operationally to go do whatever the priorities are, given the amount of time. I can't wait until Q4 to go do this. So even though it might have high business value, I can't wait. If it's worth $10 million to us, hey, great. But if we're not going to get it until 3 years from now, sorry. But if we can do this and this, awesome. Let's go do that. Team shares in it. You share in it as the leader. You're spending more time removing blockers to allow the team to achieve the goal, because they said these processes, business processes, when we fix them, will allow us to achieve our data-driven goal. You close deals because you're only spending time on the important ones now, because you're not working 29 hours a day, 11 days a week. And as a result, your team just grew, not only in their experience, but also in their expertise, and they grew together to go achieve the goal. And something else that we have not talked about. You've talked about it as part of your job. But part of the thrill, like what makes your job fun, is probably this. Let's do this. It's probably this. Grow the team, closing the deals.
Yeah.
That's the thrill of the kill. And I get to share my knowledge, experience, expertise with the team.
Right.
Grow the juniors, learn from the juniors and seniors, and grow yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the fun part. What so often happens This is that leadership sort of triangle where you spend this much time in a sales capacity for you, close deals. You spend that much time closing deals. You spend this much time on your team. You spend this much time on blockers. And you spend this much time tread water.
I just want to call out something that Al said there about the thrill. And, you know, the people are the thrill and what make it exciting and special and a fulfilling experience for everyone and the leader including. And I just think that, you know, if those 5 things there that Al wrote down aren't, if people aren't intentional about them and they aren't treated with care, it affects the people, and you're not going to get the best version of people. You're not going to get the best work out of them, which is in turn going to affect like the team performance and possibly achieving goals. But you're going to lose those people eventually, those really special people. So I just think the mindset around, it's interesting that people's the last step there. It's goals, processes, technology, and people. But I just wanted to call out, you have to have the right team in place to achieve all of that, the right DNA. And unfortunately, the consequences of like bad leadership are the team drifting apart, falling apart, and ultimately those really good people leaving.
Who benefits from that? Literally no one, right? You're not spending enough time closing the big deals, the strategic accounts, or being the account lead, right? For your top 5 accounts, if it's 80-20 or something like that, right? You can handle those top 20. You would be the fractional executive, if you will, of your top 5, top 10 accounts. You're not spending any time with your customers. You're not spending any time with your team. You're not sure which blockers to even remove because you're busy trying to get to Friday morning. Right? That's leadership like death triangle. What you need to do is literally flip it so that the tread water, hey, it's like part of the gig, man, with the burden of leadership. But the 3 biggest chunks are you spending time with your team, with your customers, and then ultimately your organization, right? Achieving your organization goals. That's the way it needs to be then, right? You need to flip the bit around so that it becomes like close and customer, right? And then this is the tread water part, you know, or all the unfun stuff, whatever. That's what you need to be able to do, because now you're the leader.
Yeah.
Right? Here you're the manager, and on this side, you're the manager, you're the caretaker, you're the custodian. Here you're the leader, because people will follow that. That is the story. In conclusion, start with a data-driven set of goals. Share those goals with the assumption you have the right people, which you'll make a determination because you're communicating frequently with them. Individual goals, team goals. Part of the individual goals are the team goals. I don't care. Your individual goals are whatever they are personally. That's fine by me. Your individual goals are going to be tied to our team, our org, our strategy goals. Then look at the processes that allow us to achieve our goals and any constrictions or blockers that may exist. After we've communicated that, we've established respect and trust with each other. Let's have some healthy conflict to figure out what business processes we need to alleviate, change, or eliminate in order for us to hit the goal. Then empower the team to go attack those. Then once you have those business processes lined up, given the goal that you have based on data, then what tools do we actually need? And you have an argument, a case to go to say, hey, you know what? This isn't the right CRM for us. We need to go do this, or some, you know, whatever that might be. Now you can objectively now grade the people, because I've removed all the barriers, I've given you the tools, and we've established what the goals are. We're talking very frequently with each other. We've established a level of trust with each other. Look, we've got some conflict here that is allowing us to pursue the goal. I'm going to empower and delegate to you, either in a senior junior or junior senior partnership model, to allow us to figure out what's the most important things for us to address together in order to achieve the goal. And then your role becomes remove those blockers to allow them to succeed. Go spend time with your customers. Go grow your team. You go grow, be successful.
That was awesome. I wouldn't expect anything less. What a good session.
Me neither. I think he solved it all for that company and for a lot of other people. That was great. And I think just a reminder that a lot of problems that we think are specific to our team or our organization or our processes or technology or people, when you zoom out a little bit and apply some of these frameworks that Al was going through, it makes the problems a lot more manageable when you break them down into solvable pieces like Al did today during that presentation.
Well said. All right. Thank you all for tuning in to Career North Star. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.